day. It's Container Check live from the ground. I hope everybody's well. Let's talk. I've been watching videos about Kyrie Irving and more so recently about Kyrie, because I needed to know what the situation was or is. And with Ye, I did watch a couple of commentaries about that situation, and then with Kyrie Irving, I did not. First of all, I didn't know who he was because I don't do sport and play, right? I was married to someone who grew up in the first, and I got a lot of knowledge from being married with him, and I did not become a Muslim wife, but I did get a lot of knowledge, and I did get a lot of knowledge from the minister and the messenger. And so, for those of you who don't know who that is, you should look it up. It's almost like you get one name, then you're famous, or you're well known anyway, or infamous, whichever you'd like to choose. With that being said, Prince, when you say Prince, you know exactly who Prince is. When you say Aretha, you know exactly who Aretha is. You say Madonna, among others, So, with that being said, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning. So, with these two young men who are going through their transition into reality, or back to reality, I had to learn something before I made an opinion based an opinion on what is going on with them. And a lot of times people don't learn, they just based an opinion based on how they feel about life in general. And one of those things, here's an example, and it's I'm going to digress, but here's an example. I remember a couple of years back, Puffy, the entertainer, producer, whatever it is he does, his son became of age to drive, and he bought his son a very expensive car. I want to say it was a Maybach, a Benz or something. I mean, I don't know. So there were people saying that was too excessive for a 17-year-old, and that he should have. One commenter said, I read, and he said, "Oh, that's too excessive," or he should have gotten him a used Toyota or something to beat around in until he learned to get his skills up. So I immediately started laughing, because Puffy is not a used Toyota type of dude, and neither am I. So that person obviously has limited financial either knowledge or abilities. I don't know. I just know that most parents or most people don't want to use a Toyota to beat around in until they learn to drive well. Like, I don't. But that tells you who that person is. And based on them, they use themselves as a benchmark to judge that man about buying his son a, I don't know, I think it's $200,000 car. I don't know, right? So anyway, I had to first of all look up what a Maybach was, so I'm not a Maybach driving woman. I had to figure out what it was. And I'm not into cars, they are transportation, but I like a nice car. And the nicest car on the planet is one that is paid in full and that runs real well. So, with that being said, people base things, they use themselves as a benchmark, and they base their opinion of another on that. I don't know if we can always help it, but in fairness to people that you are not, you should consider not using yourself as a benchmark. Even in parenting, if you're a parent, I'm a mother, she's a mother. Well, as a mother, you should drive this Ford Focus and give your kids all the educational opportunities you should. Well, maybe not, okay? Maybe not. Maybe that parent wants to do that. And then there was one person I know personally is like, oh, don't you want to send your daughter to the college of her dreams? I said, let her finance her own dreams. Now, to her, that's what she thought. Now, for me, I'm also talking to a person who's on welfare and sucks the state. So I don't know why she thought I should be supporting my daughter's dreams. That's not what we're supposed to do, from my opinion. Now, those parents that support their children's dreams, okay, hopefully it doesn't turn into a nightmare. With that being said, those two men, Irving and Ye, they are experiencing perhaps a wake-up call from who they are based on where they've been and their standing and position and what they've done and how they live. And it's got to hurt, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not okay with it at the same time, because I hope the fall isn't too harsh. I know that people are calling Ye crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's coming into the knowledge of self, and I think he doesn't have a support system to support that. I don't, the other young man, I don't know a lot about him. However, you know, things were surfacing that I found out that, oh, he had no black girls on my yacht party or something, and now this is happening on sport. I don't know, but I saw a photo. I said, you know what, I will say this. Perhaps he didn't want black women on that yacht party so that he didn't use them up in the capacity that he had intentions for those girls. And that is the truth. And then he may not have wanted you black women, because some of y'all don't know how to act. He didn't have some white women up there too who probably don't know how to act. And you probably don't look good enough for him, and he has the right to choose. And you probably don't understand the dynamics of being on the ship with these basketball players and these notables, that you're going to have sex with them. And that's why you're there. A lot of those girls may have been prostitutes. And if I'm a man or a woman, which I am, and I'm a young man, he's a young man. He wants to have women around him. If he was of any other sexual orientation, he'd want to be on that ship with a bunch of men. Maybe he likes those women for a reason unknown to us. Maybe when he has his queen, he will have a queen that looks like his mom or his grandma. And right now I need to sow my wild oats. You don't know. Leave him alone. Now that all he did, what I heard was he tweeted something. He tweeted a film. And you mean to tell me this man's entire livelihood has been diminished because he tweeted a film, and you don't like the content of that film? You put a piece of tape over this man's mouth, and you ruining him and telling him he can't have an opinion. That's a grown man. That is a grown man. Now, that's where we have always been. That's number one. Number two, wait, let's go here. How about that? You know where you're at. And if you forgot where you were, then there is yet another wake-up call from other people letting you know where you are and who you are to them. Now, knowing who you are to yourself, that's bigger. Because once you know that, you're not disappointed in some of the Bolsheviks, right? Or the Bolsheviks. Now, I'm listening to this, and listening and watching these videos, and there are a lot of people that are in support of him. But I say this, all of you other people that are not in support of him, who have a louder voice, you should be ashamed of yourself, and I understand why you're not, okay? I made my opinion about Ye, and it still stands, and I may not have posted it as of yet, but my opinion about Ye is that you were or are a billionaire. You need to put your ego aside and work stealthily in the background to do whatever it is you're doing. All this whining and crying makes you look like an idiot and immature. I don't care about the idiocy as much as I do the immaturity, because as a billionaire, I ain't crying to nobody about a darn thing. And the only reason I'm not cussing right now is because I don't feel like it. But I'm not going to whine and cry about how I'm being treated. You have the ability to get a lot of stuff done. And you don't have to have the face of any of it. But your ego is what did you dirty, right? So I feel sad for him, because he doesn't have a support system that says, hey man, check this out. Keep your mouth shut. Everybody does not need to know what you're thinking as you make your moves. Stop whining and crying. Oh, say you're sorry for what you did to me and my ancestors. No, you move in your groove and you keep this moving. And then your future offspring, okay, will benefit from that. Do you know how many black folks, or folks in general, put up with some of the most harshest behaviors, and they were silent in their movements, which gave us, as the future folks, the ability to do what we're doing, okay? I got up this morning, for some reason, TV was watching me. I don't even know why. And Whoopi Goldberg was on in this movie called A Long Walk Home, which I think it has to do with the Montgomery boycotts, bus boycotts back in the 60s. And I thank you, sir. And I don't remember seeing this movie. I've heard of it, but not in its entirety. And I was watching it as I was riding my stationary bike. So, and there were things that were asked of them, and they had to do it with grace and style, and they pulled that off. And it should have continued, in my opinion. But she was, the character that Whoopi played was a maid of this family, and she was asked by the husband. It was around Christmas time, he'd given her and another lady a bonus, and said thank you for their service. And oddly enough, the cordiality of how they dealt with people is incredible. Like, you're so cordial, but I know the truth. And the husband's like, don't sleep. Her husband, Whoopi's husband, the character's husband. So one of the things that happened was that the husband said, asked both of them, said to the other woman who worked with her as well, he said, Odessa, I know that your husband takes you to work, because he had a car apparently, and he had said to Whoopi, I forget the name of the character, how do you get to work? So she said, I walk. And he said, but you work 5 days a week, and that's a lot of walking. And so his wife had been giving her a lift on certain days, which was the market, and she didn't want her husband to know. So she's standing behind listening. So he asked Whoopi, well, how do you get there 5 days a week walking? It's a long walk. So she said, she's looking at him, and she's trying to figure out how to answer this without A, outing the wife, B, offending him and offending her. And she was very, very gentle in what she said. She said today, she said it was a very long walk, but she said today it was a very long walk or something. She said she did the best she can of something. I forget the actual words. They did stick with me, but right now I can't remember what they were. And I was like, wow. She was very good at answering that question. They stood emotionless through all of the disgusting disrespect that they endured, because any display of emotion could mean her life and the life of her family. And it's incredible how they stood firm without all this whining. In private, they kept it private, and they all knew. And the other maid said something to the effect of, girl, when he was asking you those questions, I was wondering how you were going to answer. But she came up with a good answer, and she came up with a good answer that satisfied the situation. And then he goes back into the living room, because they were having like Christmas dinner with some people, whatever, and they had asked the question to the man of the family, and he went and asked her, they were trying to find out some information about how the blacks felt about the boycott and what they were doing, trying to get some information so they discuss it. And one of the guests was like, yeah, that's right, they're saying that now when you give them something, they're going to want more and more and more. And the wife and him looked, because these people those two maids, they served their family and took care of them, and they felt compassion, whatever level they could, but they also had to watch out for themselves by not being too compassionate and being outed or put on the outside of the circle of the whites, because that's a big thing, who your friends are, who you own up to. And I was just floored, not because I don't know this, but because I forgot it. Now, I didn't forget it, but it's in the background, because we're in a society here where we're taught to be, selfish, right? And in being selfish, you don't think of your brother man. So you have to practice amongst your group of people some compassion. And it seems like melanated people have less and less compassion for each other, where people are killing people in the street over a small slight. I cut you off. Oh, hey man, I'm so sorry, my bad. Right now, people shoot you dead in the street for that. It's self-hate. So these two young men are going through it, and then there are a couple people that are supporting. There are from that group, and then you have those who don't support, but they also hurt by adding their 2 cents in that are negative, because they're afraid to lose whatever it is they have. And I'm like, sometimes, man, you gotta be quiet. They could have said, Shaq in particular, because that's one of the people I heard of, could have said, what do you think about, Kyrie Irving? And he could have said, think about what? Oh, this is controversy about yada yada yada. Oh, I have no opinion. I don't have a clue about it. I'll leave it alone, because then he's also going to get pressed. He's going to get pressed to take a stance, right? And there is a way to take a stance without offending. It's hard to do, but it can be done. So that's what this is about. This video is about being able to gracefully take a stance while not offending. Now, that's one of the hardest things probably to do, and you could probably save world peace before doing that, but I think it's a possibility. And based on this film I saw today, I know it's possible. Perhaps I should practice. And I have, but perhaps I should get better at it. All right, I'm going to wish you peace and hair grease, and suggest that you live from things from the ground, live from food grown from the ground, live from being stable on the ground, and live from the ground. All right, later. Peace.